of moments, you've been, as you mentioned, your career with the Fever. First six, though, were tough, obviously. They weren't as easy. Right. What's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way?
Tell me this doesn't stop you in your tracks. When the player who dragged a franchise through the muddiest years looks straight at the camera and says, without flinching, that the new kid didn't just boost the team. She changed the world of basketball. Not a slogan, not PR fluff, a veteran's verdict. So here's the real question. Did Kelsey Mitchell just show everyone what leadership looks like in 2025? Quiet conviction, no fake drama, standards over ego, and in the process, set a brand new bar for how we talk about Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever? Mitchell didn't hedge. She didn't overtalk it. She delivered something cleaner than any press release. The sense that one player can tilt a culture and still be a teammate worth standing beside. That lands differently coming from the person who knows the long nights, the empty seats, the Monday film sessions after another 24-point smackdown. When she says Clark shifted the dynamic, people listen. Because Mitchell has lived both versions of Indiana, the years you survive versus the years you build. But that wasn't the whole story.
And then you bring in Caitlin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. And as a friend and as a player, you grow to appreciate her because, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect that. And I love the teammate and person in her because she's accepted it with so much grace and even welcomed us with open arms to, make this thing happen. So I think it just took a lot of big pieces to make.
If you forgot, Mitchell was the Fever's human generator during a stretch when opponents circled Indiana like a scheduled nap. 5-win seasons, coaching carousels, the polite cliches in front of microphones after third-quarter avalanches. She kept showing up anyway. That history puts iron in her voice. It's why her praise didn't sound like a headline written for clicks. It sounded like a ledger closing. We were here. We carried this. And now we're moving. When somebody who paid the heavy tax finally sees payoff, their compliments aren't cheap. They're receipts. And then something clicked that should make the rest of the league sit up. Call it timing. Call it alignment. Mitchell didn't just tip her hat to one star. She spelled out a composition. Aaliyah Boston pausing the noise with grown woman post-work. Lexi Hull grinding through bruises and loose ball chaos like it's oxygen. Clark bending the cameras and the calendar and the travel schedule toward Indiana. And Mitchell herself, still slicing up coverage, still the late clock answer. Now doing it within a roster that finally amplifies, not isolates. When she called it a match made in heaven, it didn't sound dreamy. It sounded like scouting meetings, therapy sessions, and 1,000 reps converging into something that holds its shape under pressure. Pressure like the kind that turns tiny sparks into big, loud headlines.
You've changed the world in so many ways. You've done it with so much grace. And I'm so happy to take the floor with you, to be a part of this experience. I want to tell you to give yourself some grace, kid. You've done a lot of things that not a lot of people can do. And from me to you, I'm always going to be a fan. I'm always going to be in your corner. I'm always going to be in your backcourt.
You saw the post. Refs couldn't stop us. $200. LOL. The takes flew, because of course they did. But inside the Fever, it landed as exactly what it was, a stress valve joke from a competitor who'd been grinding through rehab, sitting on the sideline, living every possession without touching the floor. The locker room rule is simple. If the joke is love for the group and the work, it plays. Clark's post played. That single micro moment told you something major. This team is fluent in each other's humor, rhythm, and motives. The outside world saw fine. The Fever saw a teammate who kept the temperature right where it needed to be. Loose, locked, and a little mischievous. But even humor only matters if the basketball is real. The easiest storyline in sports is envy. The laziest is pretending it doesn't exist. Mitchell chose door number 3, maturity. No side-eye, no weird subtext. She didn't shrink herself, either. She reminded everyone, in a tone that didn't try to go viral, that before the glow-up, she was the one sweeping the floors, keeping the lights on, and repping the crest when it wasn't fashionable. That balance is rare. It's also contagious. Around the league, opinions on Clark's exposure, treatment, and fast-tracked fame are loud and varied. Meanwhile, there's bigger friction in the air, players asking for consistency, voice, and respect from leadership. Noise everywhere. Through it, Mitchell picked a lane. Respect the player, respect the process, raise the standard. That's not memes. That's culture setting. Culture that got tested in the only arena that matters, elimination basketball.
But like, you've been with Indiana through the thick and thin. You've been with them since, like we was talking, like we about to go get our rhythm on Indiana. You've been there, you stuck through until now being in the semifinals. What does that feel like? And for people watching, like girls, boys, if they athletes, not athletes, what does it feel like to stick through something and now see it come into full fold?
Our bodies, guard depth wrecked, game plans rewritten on the fly. And still, Indiana kept punching. We over me wasn't a t-shirt. It was a win condition. Boston wrecked Game 4 with a box score that read like a warning label. Mitchell turned elimination nights into a personal stage, stacking assertive, efficient scoring with that cutthroat calm only veterans earn. Role players turned into pressure proofers. Coaches adjusted the screws on defense and lived with the results. One win from the finals, without their top headliner in uniform. If you're still asking whether leadership translates, the scoreboard is trying to answer you in all caps. And that's where the conversation shifts from today to tomorrow. Dynasties don't start with highlight reels. They start with decisions. Who gets paid? Who stays? Who sacrifices? Whose voice carries in film? Indiana's advantage isn't just talent, it's alignment. Mitchell's language says it out loud. Recognition without ego. Boston's presence gives you a floor and a ceiling. Hull's persistence gives you identity on the ugly nights. Clark's gravity gives you economy. Every possession more valuable, every camera a megaphone. Keep that quartet together, and you're not just chasing banners. You're building a team that sets the market for attention, partnerships, and sold-out dates in cities that used to treat WNBA stops like afterthoughts. That's not hype. That's math. But there's one piece I don't want you to miss.
As to, what's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way the team has grown organically?
Oh, man, I think a big shout out to the organization taking time to rebuild. I think our draft picks ended up coming big. Lexi Hall was a big draft pick, and then you get Kaylin, and then you get AB. And so you culminate that together with, my experience and having to, go through a couple things before they got there. I think it was just like a match made in heaven, really, because I was, still at a young age to really, vibe and get to know these players for who they were. And then you bring in Kaylin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. And as a friend and as a player, you better appreciate her because, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect.
Prior to Game 1, I saw Caitlin posted she was fined $200 by the league for stepping on the court. So was there like a locker room pool for her there, or did she take care of that herself?
Man. I'm pretty sure somebody took care of it for her. I love it because as much people don't know this about Caitlin, but she has an unbelievable funny sense of humor. And so I think the tweet was the tweet, but you just have to know CC to know that it's just nothing but love coming from that kid, and her energy and her effort to just kind of support our team is just her way of.
Pro sports baptize you in urgency. Contracts expire. Legs get heavy. A weird bounce becomes a legacy. In that world, the word friend hits different. Mitchell used it for Clark without a wink or a caveat. Teammate chemistry is easy to tweet and hard to live. Friendship, real, test-proof friendship, shows up on the margins of a Game 5. The look after a turnover that says, "You're good." The screen set one step deeper. The rotation that takes a hit so your partner stays out of foul trouble. That's how cores endure when the novelty fades and every scout has a 40-page dossier on your pet sets. So did Kelsey Mitchell change the conversation? Absolutely. Not with volume, but with conviction. She held two truths at once. Caitlin Clark is a once-in-a-generation accelerant, and the Fever's foundation existed because vets like Mitchell refused to fold when folding would have been easy. She didn't hide from the spotlight. She reframed it as shared light. That's a different template for stardom, a lane where you can celebrate a phenomenon and still guard your own legacy without sounding threatened or small. Here's the part one keeps circling back to. Maybe the biggest shift isn't statistical, it's philosophical. The old model crowned one voice and asked everyone else to smile. This version spreads the wattage. More curiosity, more honesty, more room for the player next to you to grow bigger than yesterday. If that stands, the Fever won't just change their standings. They'll change the incentive structure of the league. More truth, less posturing, higher standards, louder gyms. Is that the future you want to see? Or does the game still need one alpha and a chorus? Drop your take below. Did Mitchell just give the W a better leadership blueprint? Or are we all getting swept up in a feel-good wave that only lasts until the next cold shooting night? Either way, the bar has moved. Your move, rest of the league.